measure all that. So that right over there. That's going to be, maybe they'll really came back and looking at hard.
Yeah.
No, it's not everybody. I got a great email address. She's my mother. Working at time, I want to check out
I got one.
Yeah, I got about 12 of them.
Yeah, just let us find money with that one, right?
But anyway, I think it's the fact that there's not actually no First of all, you ready? Yes, we're ready. You ready? Say hello to everyone. Welcome to the Madison County Planning and Zoning meeting, public hearing. Please stand with me for a word of prayer and we'll begin. Our Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life. We thank you for health. We thank you for strength. We thank you for allowing us to come and to try to do the county's business. Our Father, we ask that you bless each and every one on the sound of my voice, not only the ones here, but all over this entire world. Because, our Father, we believe that you are the one that's in charge. And, our Father, we ask that you get into our minds and let us make the right decisions. And, our Father, will be so careful to give you all the glory and the praise. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our July public hearing. As the first order of business this evening, I am required to read a few statements regarding the zoning process. Let me back up. First of all, my name is Canola Scott. I am the chair of the Planning and Zoning, and we will let each and every one introduce themselves in just a few minutes. As first order of business this evening, I am required to read a few statements regarding the zoning process and the right of the adjacent property owners and the general public not to be unreasonably harmed by specific land use. Tonight is the first of two public hearings that will be held. A second public hearing before the Madison County Board of Commissioners will be held here at this location at 6 p.m. on, somebody can help me with the date, August 1st, August 7th. Attendance by the applicant or their representative is not required at these public hearings, but your attendance is encouraged in case questions come up that I may not be able to answer. Again, you don't have to be at that second public hearing, but it is encouraged that you do. Order of business. As of the order of business tonight, first I will introduce the applicant, and then the zoning administrator will give her comments. Then the applicant or their authorized agent will come forward, state their name, address, and sign in, if you haven't already done so. Then state the reasons for their request. You may provide any other information or documentation supporting the application. Next, the planning and zoning members will have the opportunity to ask the applicant questions to clarify their understanding of the issues relating to the application. Afterwards, I will open the floor for public comment in support of or in opposition to the request. We're required by law to allow at least 10 minutes on either side for public comment. Anyone who desires to speak will be given ample time to express their support or opposition to the request. However, we ask that you be brief as possible and not be repetitive in your comments. We encourage groups with like concerns to elect a spokesman and to make your presentation. All comments will be addressed to the commission and not others in attendance. No personal attacks will be allowed. The Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body only, consisting of concerned citizens who are appointed to 4-year terms by the county commissioners, where a fact-finding body that visits the property under consideration, review the information associated with the application, consider public comment raised during public hearings, and within the guidelines of the comprehensive plan and other land use ordinances, make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners regarding these applications. The final binding decision on each request will be made by the Madison County Board of Commissioners at its meeting here on Monday night, August the 7th. I emphasize that every applicant or their representative is not required to be present at the second public hearing, where I will present the application to the board. But I do recommend that you do so. All right, at this time, I will ask the board to introduce themselves. Again, I'm Canola Scott, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning, appointed by the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners. And we'll start with Stephanie.
Stephanie Harlan, I represent District 3.
Good evening, Bruce Gandy, District 5.
Good evening, Cynthia Fortson, I am elected by the P&Z Board.
Kenneth Bradley, District 1. Lee Mitchell, District 2.
And William Smith, District 4.
Thank you. Does any of the board have any conflict with the applications that we have received for tonight?
Mr. Chairman, on the first one for Mr. Witzel, I would like to recuse myself of this, please.
All right, Mr. Smith has recused himself from Mr. Witzel because he has some insight on this particular application. So therefore, Mr. Smith will not be voting on this one. At this time, I'll ask Ms. Tracy if she would talk about our first applicant.
Okay. First up, we have Curtis Witzel, and he is requesting to rezone 6.8 acres from business to AR to return the property back to a residential zone to sale. Property is located at 1045 Crawford W. Long Street in Danielsville on map 53, parcel 39 in District 2. And Mr. Witzel has operated a construction business out of the facility for years until he retired in April of 22, and he has had it on the market to try to sell his business, but has been unsuccessful. So he's hoping to return it back to the residential zone.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, are you present?
Yes.
Would you please come forward and, tell us what you want us to know?
Thank you. Tracy said I used the property for the last 23 years as my construction company's main office. I ceased using that building about a year ago. It was in the marketplace as either or a residential or a business use. I had very little interest in it as a business. And also the business zoning has changed in the last 20 years, as I'm sure you're well aware. When it was rezoned in 2000, there were two separate B1 and B2 zones. I guess it became apparent to me that it was open for many more uses than it was when it was rezoned some 20 years ago. It would seem more prudent that it be returned back to a residential structure. And yes, I had more interest, from potential buyers as it being returned to a residence. Would like to simply bring it back to its original use as a residence and go forward from that point.
All right. All right, any board members have any questions for Mr. Whistle at this point?
Sir, I rode by your place. Now, are you talking about the frame building?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. The large.
When was that built, sir?
According to Mr. John Scoggins, between 1830 and 1840. Very early structure for the county. This land went up in the lotteries of 1820, and it was acquired by Mr. Adams. And evidently this house was built for one of his sons, and shows up between the 1830 and 1840 census.
Great, thanks, sir.
I wanted to know, so when you originally purchased, it was residential area?
It was.
And then, did you purchase it for your business, or you lived in it for a while and then?
No, I purchased it for use as my business office. I was in the business of doing historical restoration, so it seemed somewhat appropriate that I have an office in a historical building.
Oh, right.
And, there's not a lot in this county.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so then you inquired to get it transferred to business?
Yes, well, the former owner did it, as a contingent to the sale.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So that was contingency on your sale?
Yes.
That the previous owner had to do it, not you?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
You said you had interest from it being zoned residential. Have you had any interest from developers or individuals or developers or?
Not that I am aware of. Now, I of course, in that type of scenario, I did not meet every potential looker, buyer, so not that I was aware of.
Any further questions? Thanks, sir. We will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for this particular rezone application? Anyone here would like to speak in favor of this rezone application? Hearing none, is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition to it? Anyone here wants to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board and ask for a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions.
I'll take a motion. I make a motion to approve because I see it as there is a couple of businesses across the street, but as I looked at it, there's two residents down the street, there's two subdivisions down the street, there's another house. So I don't see how it would not fit as in going back to its original state as a resident. So I
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion by Cynthia, a second by Bruce, that this rezone application be approved. Any further discussion? If not, Stephanie?
Yes.
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 And Mr. Smith has recused himself, so therefore, it is approved. Sir, it is approved. We will make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners that they also approve.
I understand.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Tracy, next.
Okay. Second up is Ralph Power, and he is requesting to rezone his 9.32 acres from A1 to AR to split the property back into two separate parcels, each containing 4.61 acres and 4.71 acres for tax purposes. Property is located at 0 Highway 98 East in Danielsville on map 68, parcel 27 in District 2. And Mr. Power in April of 22 combined the parcels together just to help save on taxes. And then when he went to renew his CUVA in March of this year, he was told that he had breached his contract by doing so. The property valuation director actually told me that it is state law to have them try to correct the issue, and that is what he's trying to do, is to get that back into two separate parcels.
Okay. Well, before he comes forward, could you tell us what CUVA is for those that don't know?
That is the tax program for farms and farmlands. It's, I can't, CUVA, the initial.
Conservation.
Conservation, yeah.
Agriculture and land conservation, property that is 80% or greater in agriculture standing, whether it be a hayfield, standing timber, grazing land, etc. Don't represent property valuations, so take it with a grain of salt. I believe it's got to be 10 acres or more at minimum.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Power, are you here? Yes. Please come forward and explain to us anything that you might want us to know other than what Ms. Tracy has said.
Well, I feel like that y'all covered it pretty good already, and the property was originally purchased by my father back in the first parcel back in the 70s, and it was put under covenant at that time. And then the second parcel, 4.71 acres, was purchased sometime after that, approximately 10, 15 years later. So they were put under the covenants, the tax covenants, at different times. And when we tried to combine those two, we didn't realize that we were going to violate the covenant and get into the mess that we got into here. So we're trying to back that out and bring it under compliance for the tax covenants, and that's all we're intended to do here. The use of the property has always been agricultural, primarily hay, growing hay, and occasionally raise some cows on it, but have no intention of doing anything different. So we're just doing this to bring it into compliance with the tax covenants regulations, hopefully.
Okay, are you, okay, is that all? Okay, I have one question for you. Are you aware that A1, A2, agricultural, AR is a little bit different, so there are certain things you can do and can't do?
Right, I'm aware of that. The problem is originally, they changed the regulation from A1 to being greater than 5 acres, I think, or something like that. And these are just under that, so we had to go to AR to bring that back into compliance. But that's the only reason we're new with AR. And since we couldn't combine, they were able to go into stay in A1. But once we split them back out, had to go to AR to comply with the zoning regulations.
All right, Christopher?
Right. when the coop was up on the whole property, is it y'all's intention for the board and understanding they are A2, A1 to attempt to put it all together into a large A1 parcel?
Originally, when we combined those two?
Yeah.
Yes, that was our intent. Well, it was, I think they were originally all A1.
Okay.
And we just wanted to put them together for tax saving purposes, but didn't realize that we were going to violate the CUBA.
Are you going to try to let the CUBA run out, recombine the parcels, and then do one CUBA contract for all of them together?
I think that's my understanding. That's what we're going to do. I'm not 100% clear, but I think that's what we shoot for. Just get it back all into compliance.
I just want to make sure y'all knew that they would like to combine in the future. For the CUBA, that's what me and Robin had discussed. Just want to make sure for them that was out there.
Okay, I guess I need for my clarification, I'm not real clear on Cooper. It doesn't have to be A1 or A2, or, I mean, this is under 10 acres.
It's true, he's in a pre-existing contract that I don't have any say so in. When his contracts come up, and like, stop me if I'm saying that wrong. When his contracts come up, he would have a limited time to where he could combine the parcels and make it one parcel if the zoning and everything went right, like what he was wanting to do, but those contracts last for 10 years. So I'm not sure how much is actually left on your contracts or any of them that were my business. I didn't go into it.
Any questions from the board?
I had a question that I talked to Christopher about in the beginning, is how, there's two of you in the room tonight that this has happened to. And it's not really the first time, I don't think. But anyway, on a positive note, I asked what caused this to happen and what can we do to keep it from happening in the future. If you had known that there was the potential you were going to breach CUBA, then you probably wouldn't have attempted it. But we do. So I think anyone that comes forward wanting to do what you did would have to get an okay from the assessor's office or the tax commissioner's office, so that at least you would have all your information to make an informed decision. So on a positive note, that we've done something correct.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Thanks, sir. At this point, we will open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this particular rezone request. Anyone want to speak in favor? Hearing none, is anyone want to speak in opposition? Anybody in opposition? Hearing none, bring it back to the board, and I will entertain a motion to approve with conditions or deny.
I'll make a motion that we approve this request.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any additional comments or questions? If not, we'll begin with Bruce.
Yes.
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 All right. Powers, that you've been approved, so we will recommend to the board of commissioners that we approve your rezone request.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, next up is William Ricky Hicks, and he is requesting to rezone his 28.79 acres from A1 to A2 to split the property back into two separate parcels of 16.11 and 12.67 acres for tax purposes. Property is located at 0 Holly Creek Church Road in Comer on map 95, parcel 26-02 in District 4, and this is the same scenario exactly as previous.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Please come forward and give us your comments.
Yes. Ricky Hicks, I live at 1542 Holly Creek Church Road. It's gonna be the home that's adjacent to the property that we're talking about. And, basically this came about, it's the farmland that my mother and daddy purchased, some 70 years ago. And I got to the point of retirement, and I divided the family farm up between my 3 children. But this particular parcel here, I kept it for myself. It's on my side of the road to remain in my name until my death, to stay, just as it is, as y'all rode by that soil, just hayland. But I really did not realize, I thought I had crossed all my dots and T's and asked all the correct questions about this conservation plan, but I missed a point. So what we're trying to do now is get me back in compliance with the conservation plan. As far as the property goes, there will be no change. It's going to stay agricultural just like it is. Just need to get it back in compliance for tax purposes.
All right, any questions from the board?
Do you have the same plan that Christopher just asked about later when your CUBA comes to an end, putting it all back together, or?
My plan is right now, I hadn't thought that far ahead, but as far as I'm concerned, this particular piece of property that we're talking about is in my name. It will remain with me until to my death, and it goes to one of my children. I have no plans personally to try to do that, to put it back into one, down the road. I'll let him deal with that. For me, it really doesn't matter whether it's in one or two, but,
Any other questions? Thanks, sir. All right.
hey, it's easy.
We will open the public hearing. If anyone wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Hearing none, anyone will speak in opposition? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the board and ask for a motion to approve with conditions, or deny.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve this rezone request as presented. Any further comments or questions? If not, Cynthia?
Yes.
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 Yes. If been approved, we will make a recommendation to
Appreciate
the
it.
Board of Commissioners
Thanks, sir.
on the salary.
I just wanted y'all to know, the reason on the first one I asked the question is because it was going from intense ag to ag residential. And the reason I didn't ask it on Mr. Hicks
Right.
was both intense ag. So sorry, I just want to.
Right, because it's going from A1 to A2,
Yes,
not AR.
correct.
All right, next, Ms. Tracy.
Okay, we have Robert and Diane Briggs, and they are requesting to rezone their 8 acres from A1 to AR to allow a second home to be placed on the property for their son as an accessory dwelling unit. The property is located at 230 Buford Cary Road in Danielsville on map 13, parcel 32-03 in District 1.
Yeah.
Just pretty much it. They're just
Pretty much
wanting to
it.
have their son placed on it. They recently built a home in 22 and just wanting to have their son there on the property with them and do not desire to split it.
Okay, Mr. Briggs or Diane, please come forward.
Good evening, I'm Diane Briggs from 230 Buford Cary Road in Hull. And we are looking to put our property into AR to be in compliance with the new zoning regs and then be able to place a secondary home in the back for my son. We'd be using the same current driveway we have, just going around my husband's workshop and out back, where it wouldn't infringe on the neighbors or anybody.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Briggs?
I'm looking at the site plan, it looks like the new home will be in a place where it would, due to the fact that you've got 8 acres and it takes 4 for an AR, if you were to need to split that off in the future for whatever reason, I know you're not doing that now because it's an accessory dwelling unit, but if you were going to, were to sell it, whatever, and needed to split it off, is the home sitting in a place that would make that cut a clear 4 acres?
Yes.
And meet all sets?
And just to be clear, you're not interested in making it 2 parcels?
I love my son, but I like my property. It's mine right now.
Bring your petty foot.
Did she answer your question?
I guess so. Any other questions from the board? If not, ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will go open the public hearing. Does anyone want to get to speak for this particular rezone request? Anyone wants to speak in favor? Not, is there anyone want to speak in opposition? Not, I'll bring it back to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Have a second? Any further questions or discussion? If not, I'll begin with yes.
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 All right. Briggs, we have approved. We will present it to the Board of Commissioners on August the 7th.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, next up, Chris Smith, applicant for his mother, Sandra Smith, is requesting to rezone her 11.88 acres from A2 to AR to divide the property into 3 tracts for inheritance purposes for her children. Property is located at 0 Highway 72 East in Comer on map 106, parcel 66 in District 4. And as stated, it's just for their inheritance purposes. She has 3 children and 3 tracts. The original site plan called for it to be 1 tract of 4.6 acres, and the second 3.97, and the third 3.85. And there is a cell tower on the first tract.
All right, let's see here. Mr. Smith, are you present? Yes, sir. Please come forward and tell us what your plans are.
Oh, to start, welcome to my nightmare. This started 2 generations earlier. My grandmother bought this property, and her idea of how to divide it up was, this is your piece right here. So this has been an ongoing nightmare. As stated, this was solely started for purpose of just dividing the land equally amongst for my sister, and I got another sister that's not here, and myself. The intention is that my great niece would like to build a house on the 3.85 acres at some point. My nephew is in the center property. He will wind up inheriting it for the purpose of building him and his wife a house. The property with the cell tower on it is pretty much useless property. All I'm going to do is pay taxes on it for the rest of my life. It's a washed out gully and no good for anything. These setbacks as drawn were just simply me trying to look at QPublic in my cell phone and divide it equally, and we were on the phone for about 30 minutes one day trying to make the math work. Last Thursday she called and said, okay, the cell tower, got a problem. Got to have an 180-foot buffer from that cell tower, because I found out Saturday or Sunday that the tower is 180 foot tall. So I haven't sent this back to my surveyor. I want to make sure that everything's lined up. I don't want to pay him 3 or 4 times to redraw all these lines. I want to get y'all's approval, and then I'll call him and say, okay, this is what we got to do. The cell tower itself carries $1 million liability insurance on it. And like I say, there's only going to be possibly 2 residences put on this property. You said something about easements, that y'all wanted to get away from the easements. Of course, the cell tower is going to have 2 easements no matter what we do. It'll have to have an easement from my older sister and myself for access to the cell tower. My sister that's present was willing to give her granddaughter an easement for the other property. We were just discussing, if we combine her 2 pieces of property, then she won't have the 4 acres to put her granddaughter's dwelling on. So, once upon a time there was a hardship rule in this county. I don't know if that still exists, to where she could do it on a smaller tract. But, I'll have to go on y'all's recommendations on how to do that. Of course, my nephew will have a need to have his own access, because he'll be able to use the cell tower road to access his property. Mine, I can attach it to, I've actually got 2 pieces of property, as you see in the lower right-hand corner. One being my residence, one being, used to be a residence, my hobby shop now. I can attach my parcel to that parcel if necessary. So I will patiently wait y'all's recommendations, and hope I said enough. Make my nightmare go away and make this a dream.
All right, well, let the board, I'll turn over to the board and answer any questions that you may have. And I'll start it off. One is, I think you're asking us to approve something about the cell tower before we actually know if you can meet all your setbacks or not.
Well, I just asked when I got here tonight if that center track could be made smaller to make sure that I have enough of a setback. We will make the setbacks work, even if we have to make the centerpiece a big old L-shaped piece of property. Whatever we got to do. I mean, there's not going to be any beef between us about making this work, because we're trying to make it work in our favor, as well as, abide by all the rules that we need to. I'm sorry?
Sir, is there some urgency to this?
Well, my mother's getting old, and she's a cancer survivor, and she's also, in remission at the moment. But she also had this land in conservation, and she don't want to pay taxes on it anymore. Because, of course, taking it out of conservation, her tax bill is going to go way up. And, she's just trying to get this done before she passes. I'm sorry for saying it so bluntly. And also, my nephews and my niece are living in a very old, early 1800s house that's not in the best of shape, and they're eager to start their life and build a new house. But it ain't got to be done tomorrow, but we've been working on this for 3 years now, so.
I think the chairman brought up a point. It's difficult to approve something that is, at this point, unstructured. And we have certain setbacks with fixed rules.
Yes, sir, and we will meet those. However, like I said, had I went ahead and paid my surveyor to redraw all these lines according to the way that I have them here, then I would have had to pay him again to move all of those lines. So I don't want to do that. There's not going to be any issues with doing the required setbacks, and I can't, draw it up there for you to see. But I've got a copy of it here. I can, if you'd like to see what my next proposal is going to be.
Well, yes, sir, and that's what I'd like to see at this, at the planning and zoning here. Your final proposal. Had I known before Thursday night, of this previous Thursday night, had I known this was going to be an issue, then I would have already worked it out. But if we just found out about this Thursday night that I had to have that 180-foot buffer around that cell tower. Yes.
Had I known that, I would have had it already drawn out and, ready to present.
We can make that as a condition, because we have to meet
Yes. Has anyone raised the issue that cell telecommunications towers are not permitted or conditional in AR?
No.
No. They're conditional in A1. They're conditional in A1 and A2, and I am permitted in B. And I assume there must have been a conditional use permit granted for this. It's either A2 now, so it would have been eligible for conditional use permit. I assume that's what happened, but if you change it to AR now, it's not conforming.
I assume that was to get an okay to build one, not an existing one, but I guess it does.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be, you would be creating a non-conforming lot.
Okay, next question is, can the other two go into AR and this one stay as, you said it's an A1 now?
A2 now.
A2, I'm sorry?
But it wouldn't have enough acreage to.
10 acre minimum.
How many acres are the other two parcels that he owns? The two that have the road frontage there?
0.33 and 0.72.
You're on it, thank you.
And we could combine that and be at 10, if you will look to combine, to get that 10.
I'm sorry.
You lost me.
If you reconfigured the lines and combined with his, if you combined the properties to come up.
That's still only gonna get us to 5.2.
5.6.
Yeah, that's only gonna get us to,
I thought you said that was 3, so.
no, 0.33 and 0.76.
Oh, I apologize.
And doing it, get into it if we make sale shape like that. No, if we take it to, let's go down on the acre, don't have to.
No, we wouldn't be anywhere near it anyway. So, I don't know what to do at this point. I mean, there again, another rule I didn't know about.
Yep.
On the 3.85 acres, is there gonna be a hydrant easement? You're gonna have to cut an easement in to that property?
There's an existing driveway where the note lines are drawn right there. It goes down the side of the house. But there's an existing driveway there that will be an access point to that property. And of course, like I said, I mean, if we're able to go forward, the 4.6 acres would attach to the 0.33 acres for the access point from the road on it.
So, the 4.6 and the 3.97. You want to split it where each person, sibling has a split of that, right?
Yeah, it's the numbers that we come up with, including, there's a house that's not, a parcel that's not shown on here, which is adjacent to my mother, but the property that we've already been given by our mother, with our houses on it, along with the numbers that are here, would make us all work out as close to even as I could make it work. Like we had chaos trying to make those numbers work on the phone one day.
Well, what I'm saying is, does everybody want a piece? Or does somebody want to sell theirs, or is theirs too? No.
Well, I mean, we still can't get the,
Okay.
I mean, we can't get the 10 acres for that cell tower to be in compliance or whatever he said was going
I
with.
was
it,
looking at
combining
the 4.6 and the 3.97, and your two might get us close. Would it get us close?
It would do that, but that would take away
Yeah, I know, that's
him
what
being
I'm
able to
saying.
build a house.
Wait, he can do it, especially on the. Can you have 10 acres and do it?
Property owner that's having a present.
Well, he does live, he would live in it.
I don't know if I'm.
But it's not gonna work because everybody wants their share, so that's just out the door anyway. I was just trying to figure something out.
I mean, if my sister was in agreement, then I think my nephew and niece, they just want a house.
I don't know, I'm discussing, I don't know even if that comes to 10 acres. I'm just saying that's one way.
Well, we could make it come up to 10 acres with adding my shop into it.
Well, that's what I was adding that.
I think that comes up right now.
I don't know.
Well, sounds to me like that, and I know that you want to get something done. But from my position, it sounds to me like we need to go back. We need to do some more planning. I know it's been 3 years, but we need to do some more thinking as to how we can make all this come into compliance. Because what the attorney just said, that the first proposal,
I knew I didn't.
we can't do AR. We can't do AR anyway. Okay, so something else has got to be done.
Well,
So I don't think we
if
can
he
make
said
it.
we couldn't do it, he just said it would make it non-conforming.
Right, you'd be
correct?
creating a non-conforming parcel, which is something, I mean,
That's something we don't normally want.
yeah, you generally try to avoid it, and so, there's no law that says you can't.
However, it's.
Well, if there's no law.
Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, it's their final
Their final decision, but we want to present something to them
That makes sense.
that makes sense
Yeah.
to us, so that, you know, they, that's why we're here. But it just sounds like to me that there's more work needs to be done on this particular request. Because of the things that you, not no fault of your own, didn't know about the 180 feet for the cell tower, you know, and then we don't have an accurate meeting setbacks. And I know you did the best you could by drawing these lines, but they're nowhere close.
But, I kind of recommend you might, need to talk to, the lawyer.
More money I ain't got.
Well, I mean, because, even you guys can share if somehow where both of you own that 4.6 and 3.9, and somehow you have to come up with 10 acres. So, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, that's real estate lawyer, so I'm just throwing out there.
Mr. Chairman.
That's why we have them here. Yes, sir.
If I could add, I really think that the board here is reaching out to try to figure out how to make this happen, but we're talking about, recommending to do something that we're not supposed to do, which is essentially approve non-conforming results in the future. I think you're going to have a much better chance if we can polish this off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. You said your idea, you go ahead.
Idea, trying to solve all this and save some money. He can withdraw right up until the point of the vote, and the funds won't be wasted. So, recommendation, everybody coming into this. An idea, this fits into the Homer-Carlton corridor for business and light housing in the comprehensive plan.
Yes.
If me and, Chris, I can't remember, one time I've
got that disease too.
Yeah, it's fine, I remember the beer, right? If we can, or if you agree to withdraw it, we retain the fee. We're not taking applications right now, until November. It'd be a few months where me and you could talk about it, try and look at a double rezone to where, I'm gonna pull this back. We try and talk about these properties, getting them inherited appropriately, the line for the setback, and possibly, since, as you described it, a gully, unusable land, we can put a cell tower in an industrial zone. And
Which is consistent with that area.
It's consistent with the comp plan moving forward. We didn't have the comp plan in place when it came to be. So it may be a little back and forth. It keeps us from recommending something that we really shouldn't. With a non-conforming, allows us to work
to meet all these setbacks after the comp plan, to work with an industry, we circle back in like 2 months. If there's not a huge, not that I'm trying to push you down the way.
Sounds like the best course of action for everybody involved.
Just me and you, we just sit down and we fine tune it.
Okay.
Because if they vote and then it gets denied, then you got a 6-month waiting period, but you can withdraw
Yeah.
and
Trying to
punt
keep you
and
from 6 months.
not have to wait that long.
Get 2 months. You get to keep
In other words, fix all this before they say no, and then you got to really go back.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That might be an answer.
So do I need to officially say I would like to withdraw my application tonight?
Yes.
I can't give you legal advice, but that sounds like.
If you say that,
I would like to withdraw my application before the vote so that we can fine tune this and I can represent it at a better time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. We will document that, and we will wait until the next one.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Okay, first, moving on, number 6.
Okay.
including my own.
1 second, call that here.
And the night.
Sorry, sir, but I think you're closer now than you were when you got here.
Thank you.
Regular, I try and work with you days.
Day shift during the week, I work part-time for Hart County in this on weekends.
Okay, what mean you might meet at the roll stone in or something one morning before shift or something, so how's that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
No
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up, we have Brad Kirk, applicant for his grandmother Elaine Brown, and he is requesting to rezone a 12-acre portion of her 77.63 acres from A1 to A2 to allow the 12 acres to be split out and gifted to him for a home site. Property is located at 460 Macedonia Church Road in Danielsville on map 51, parcel 53 in District 4.
All right. Mr. Kirk,
Yes, sir.
please come forward.
No pressure.
Tell us what you want us to know.
So thank you guys for this evening. My name is Brad Kirk. Like I said, wanted to rezone a portion of my grandmother's farm tract from A1 to A2 to allow me to build a house on the family farmland and kind of get back over there. I kind of manage a lot of the property as it is now with managing our hay and all the hay fields and stuff like that around that, and recently just kind of sold house after a divorce, and so just kind of looking to get back onto the family farm, have a portion of land there that I can actually build something for myself on. I will be sharing a current paved driveway easement that's already in place with my grandmother. There are currently 2 old chicken houses that have been shut down for, I guess, about 8 years now, and like to have those removed and use that as a spot to just kind of repurpose to build a house for myself on. And like I said, just kind of have that to be able to continue to run the farm.
All right, sir. Any questions from the board for Mr. Kirk?
Okay, as you're going into drive, you're talking about the houses, chicken houses to the
Right.
right?
Left.
Oh, to the left of the.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's on this side.
Yes, ma'am. You can, so
So how would that drive go?
So whenever you go onto the drive, her current residence is right.
No, keep going.
So her current residence is right here. There's currently a drive that goes, it's paved all the way down to this shop building here. And then there's still a full gravel turnaround that goes by the fronts of both of these chicken houses. So that drive would continue right there, and the proposed home site would be right there onto that. So like I said, it's a paved driveway up to this point, and then it's gravel from where there's the hay shed right here. So all that's gravel down to that. And it's currently maintained as a drive, so it would just go right into where.
Oh, so it's from the gravel circle, that's when you're gonna take your drive?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions from the board?
We're trying our best to get away from easements as much as we can. Have you even thought about the idea of, instead of that being an easement, making that road frontage, of making that part of the parcel all the way to the road?
We talked about that, but the reason why we not wanting to do that is currently her house does sit right here. All of this and everything is behind it is existing hayfield. And so the only other kind of option would be to cut from behind her house and cut through that existing hayfield to the parcel. And we did discuss that. I would like to not do that, if at all possible. In the end, once my grandmother does pass on, that will belong to myself. And so I would like to just maintain the driveway that's currently already in place, along with the huge gravel area that's down there where the house would be, so that I'm not creating a second driveway going to my structure, cutting through, our hayfields that we currently maintain right in there.
Did I hear you say at the beginning that was an existing easement?
No, sir.
Okay.
Just an existing driveway.
It's just an existing driveway, yeah.
Okay.
Brad, that chicken house on the right,
Yes.
coming in the drive,
Yes.
it's not still in operation.
No, none of them are still in operation. They basically shut down that in 2015.
All right, just
Yep.
making sure for a setback.
Yes.
Any additional comments, questions? No, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this particular rezone? Anyone want to speak in favor? Hearing none, does anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board, and I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Would you be amenable to modifying that somewhat? I think with the condition that the chicken houses shown on the plot, on the plan are removed.
To make sure I understood you correctly, that's the home site, correct?
Yes, that will be where my proposed home site is, and so those chicken houses, they're all actually going to be removed.
You don't plan on living in the chicken house,
No.
you know?
No, there's,
Build a bike and log home.
Hey.
so yes, those are gonna be removed, because like I said, that, where those two lower ones are.
Go off.
No, I just wanna make sure, I wanna make sure I heard him properly, so no,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes, those will be removed, because that's where I want to place my home site at, and just kind of repurpose that, so I'm not eating into any of the other ag portion of that land.
Yes, sir.
Does the documented easement need to be a condition?
Not here, it'll be documented when they do the plat. So, if the rezone's approved, then they got 6 months to do the plat, and that'll have to be correct for the plat to get approved.
Which it is already on the site plan.
Yeah, I see it's on, so this, and the removal of the houses is on the site plan, although it's still good to make that a condition, so.
Bruce, so we're going with the original?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I can set you at ease too for Bruce. He builds on there with two houses, and he doesn't tear them down first, his property tax will be approved. They are taxable structures. Just let you know that. He'll pull a permit and get them down.
There's nothing like dissuasion.
Yes, sir.
Right.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, approve this rezone request? Any more discussion? If not, Lee?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Mr. Kirk, did we, have approved your rezone request, and we will present it to the Board of Commissioners on August 7th.
Thank you.
And the final decision will be theirs. All right. Next.
Okay. Next up, Larry Parham, applicant for his daughter Tori Lester, is requesting to rezone her 6.72 acres from A1 to AR to allow a second home to be placed on the property for her son to live on with him as an accessory dwelling unit. Property is located at 1352 East Co Road in Danielsville on map 69, parcel 75 in District 2.
All right. Mr. Parham?
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
We just wanted, I don't really know what these A1 and A2 and ARs is. We just wanted to go to AR so we can put a second dwelling on it for him to live in. And that's basically it. I guess about all I got.
All right, I have questions for Mr. Parham? Any questions? If not, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you back.
Oh, well, hold on, barely one.
I'm sorry. On the site plan, it says existing driveway. Will that driveway just service the proposed home site and the existing home have direct?
Our home and his, yeah, they'll have the same driveway.
It'll all come from the same drive, shared driveway.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll open the public hearing now, and if anyone wants to speak in favor of this particular rezone. Hearing none, anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board and we'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
So a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Not William?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Disapproved, we'll recommend to the Board of Commissioners that this rezone request be approved. We recommend that you come on August 7th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
All right, next up, we get caught up here. All right, we have Byron Sexton, and he is requesting to rezone his 18.27 acres from A2 to AR to allow 3.98 acres to be split off with an existing home to be sold and to allow a possible additional split for a family member in the future. The property is located at 255 Collins Dudley Road in Danielsville on map 61, parcel 34 in District 4.
Byron?
Yes.
Please come forward and tell us what you want to know.
Well, I missed the last meeting. We already had one meeting, and my wife had a medical emergency. I was in the emergency room till after 2 o'clock when I was a meeting. And I asked Todd about getting back on the thing. I think he said 6 months, but he moved me ahead of it a little bit because of the situation. And it's just like what we did before. Just coming in
This is
compliance
like
with it.
the second part of his two-step, what he's referring to.
All right, do we have any questions from the board for Mr. Sexton?
Sir, I visited out there, and the topography is pretty much up and down over there. Now, is this the property line to the north? Is that funded with A&K Farms by any chance?
If A&K Farms are right past it.
Right past it. little further down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any further questions? Not? Okay, Mr. Tracy.
Thank you.
Open the public hearing. Is anyone wants to speak in favor of this particular rezone request? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
Have a motion to approve as requested?
I'll second.
Get a second. A second from Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? Not, Stephanie?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it is approved.
Thank you.
Do apologize for taking this long. I understand you were here before. Sorry for the emergency, and those things do happen.
Family comes first.
Yeah, I understand. So that's something we normally don't do, but in an emergency situation, things, you have to take them as they come.
Thank you.
All right, next.
All right, next up, Gloria Cochran, applicant for her daughter, Amy Hill, is requesting to rezone and her daughter, Amy Hill, is requesting to rezone their 31.53 acres from A1 to A2 to allow a 10-acre split for Mrs. Cochran's grandson. Property is located at 425 Irving Kirk Road in Danielsville on map 53, parcel 61-01 in District 2.
Before we move on, Ms. Cochran, excuse me for a second, do we want to take up 9 and 10 the same, the both basically the same request? What's the board?
Well, it's the same piece of property. Yeah.
Is that okay? Mr. Attorney, will that work?
As long as it's okay with the applicant.
Okay with you?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, my name is Gloria Cochran. I live at 425 Irving Kirk Road. And to explain why this property is split down the middle, it was because of a divorce 14 years ago. My husband and I divorced. And at that time, he agreed in the divorce mess that we do the best thing for our grandson. They live next door. We had cut out 5 acres of that 72 acres for my daughter when she married. And the boys had always rambled over the place, come over the hill, and the divorce was upsetting enough. We wanted to keep things as nice as we could to ease that divorce pain. So it worked along fine for a while. And then my ex-husband said he lived in our old house, and I built a smaller house at 425. That's the 419 and 425. But then he was not happy with the original divorce agreement, and we had some land in the mountains. So I made him the offer. Things were in such turmoil. I mean, it was just trouble all the time. I told him I would trade the mountain land for this land. So he deeded his half over to me, and I deeded my half of the mountain house over to him. So now he lives in South Carolina, and we live here, and things are peaceful. And believe it or not, we have found our new normal, and we're cordial, and we even all get together at Christmas and that sort of thing. But that's why it's split. And I'm in my last year of Cuba, so I thought I can't take care of, there's about 63 acres there. I can't take care of 63 acres, and I don't want to see it grow up. because it's my home for almost 60 years. So, talked to the assessors, and they said it could be combined, it wouldn't affect the Cooper. So, this is what I put to my grandsons. I said, if any of you four want to build here, I'll give you a tract of land, okay? So the 12 acre split, I have a grandson that's going to build, okay? And then the 10 acre split, that grandson is not going to build, but he takes care of all my hay baling. He bales all my hay, and that way I can stay in conservation use and keep the property from growing up. And the reason my daughter is on it, I thought we had like a life estate. That's what I was advised to do. But actually, she told me we just actually own it together. So she agrees. I said, I just want to live here till I die. And she agrees to anything I say, you know. So, I mean, I realize that's a complicated situation, but it is the same piece of property. And we're going to combine it back when all this is over if we get approved for this. So, the remaining two grandsons have no interest in building there or contributing anything to keep it a farm or that. So if they, you know, if they change their mind and they want to build, then in future, you know, I do the same thing for them. But you know, the daughter's a daughter all her life, the son is a son if he marries a wife, and the wives don't want to live here. So.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the board about these particular?
Could I be nosy and ask which grandson it is?
Matthew and Jonathan.
Okay.
Matthew's my hay baler. He's my farmer. He's a part-time farmer.
Him and my son Will grew up
together.
together.
And Jonathan has horses, and he and Hannah wanted to live in the country, and what could be better than a grandson or an Amos, my daughter's a son, living close to you.
Yes, ma'am, you're blessed.
Yeah, we're blessed. But there's, I think she asked me about how Jonathan, the 12 acres, he's going to put a driveway in for the road to build his house. But the driveway in between the two pieces, it already has a variance on it. So Matthew, the oldest one, the one that bales hay, he can come in from anywhere along that driveway. Because, I mean, what's mine is his, you know.
Shared driveway.
So it's no problem about access. So, and he didn't want to build. He'd already bought his grandfather's place and he had done a lot of work on it. So I said, well, you deserve something for doing all this work and keeping me in Kuzma.
Mm-hmm. So. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions? Any questions?
Oh, wait, can you go back to the first one? Tracy?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we just had a question about that little strip of land back there. Okay, that's the result of the divorce also. My husband's very hard to get along with. He was. But when we gave my daughter, see where it says Amy and Chris Hill, we gave them 5 acres. He was afraid they would get, he probably would have, they would block him from getting to his hayfield down there. Oh, so he insisted on that little strip. Of course, we haven't had it surveyed. We know that would be no less than 12 acres, and the other one no less than 10 acres. But we didn't want to have it surveyed until we knew y'all was approved. So they would have to get access to that other little hay field? No, that's where the house is going to be in this corner. Yeah, I know, but going over to where it's red, yellow. Yeah, right here. Okay. That whole area. Yeah, this grandson. See, all this is 12 acres. Oh, okay. That's all we could 12 acres. Okay. And he actually, his barn, he has horses, you know, and he helps my other grandson with the hay, and his hay barn and all this. I mean, that's all his. It's a strange shape. So that's it. Okay. Just because of that little split right there. All right. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Life is hard, I tell you.
You have a question?
I do.
Uh-huh.
The easement that's going up to your grandson's home, yeah, right there.
Yeah, this is
Is the road, which parcel does the easement belong to, or is the property
Okay.
line right up the middle of the road?
all right, let's say this belongs to my grandson. The 10 acres is gonna belong to another grandson, okay? The rest is mine. Anything that's left over after that 5 acre tract that my son-in-law and daughter, and what the grandsons have is my land, it's mine and my daughter's. Does that answer your question?
Now, my question is, the
Never
30
mind,
foot,
there's a
I guess
driveway.
it's a 30-foot easement that you've got it through there, which has a driveway on it, that ends up at your house.
Yeah.
But out here at the road. See that? So, Crystal, can you point it out to us? Does the easement go on one property or the other, or is
It goes
the
right
property?
down the middle of the driveway.
It's property
10
line.
foot on one side, 10 foot on
Yeah,
the other.
right down the middle of the driveway.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Anyone here wants to speak, in favor of this rezone request? Hearing none, is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion to approve or disapprove.
I make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Do we need to say
Any questions?
combine, or did she, we just approved them?
We approve of both, we're both 9 and 10.
Okay, I heard she had to say.
All right. Any further questions or comments? If not, Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
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 All right, Ms. Cochran, this has been approved. We will present it to the Board of Commissioners on August 7th, or we'll have a second public hearing. You're not required to be there, but I suggest that you do.
I won't be there.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just ready to just get over it. It's been almost as bad as the divorce. Well, then first of all, you know, up until right at the last, we didn't know that it was gonna be in 2 pieces.
Right.
And that just happened recently, so I'm pleased to get it all done because I started in the middle of the moratorium.
Well, thank you,
Trying
ma'am.
to give something away.
Is there anything else that needs to be presented tonight or be brought up tonight?
Our amendment, we need to vote on that as well.
Okay. All right, yes, we do, okay. The amendment for the,
To delete the
delete the conditional for convenience store, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, well, you want to tell us about it then?
Okay. All right, so consider amending the zoning ordinance in section 7.2, which is A2, 7.3, AR, and 7, which is the use provisions by district chart. And we're just simply deleting the word convenience store in section 7.1 and 7.3, and then taking them out as a conditional use on the chart under A2 and AR.
You can't, yeah, that's all the same thing. Deleting, you're taking that out as a conditional use in those two zones.
Correct.
But if y'all like, you can do it as one thing.
Right.
We do want to do that.
I second that.
All right, any discussion on this? If not, we'll go to the,
Good catch.
we'll go to the public hearing.
Especially, you
Ms.
don't,
Gandy?
you and Mike don't have nothing to all that.
Anyone opposed to speaking on the
I'm
Is there a problem with that? I'm agreeable. For or against? For or against, I think we're all good.
If not, I'll make a motion for the board.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. We move in proper second that we approve, this, amending this zoning ordinance. Pretty simple,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Has been approved. Now, I'll ask again, anything else?
I'd like to point out that Representative Gandy has never introduced me to his wife.
Aw.
I just found out.
Still have.
Does anybody, are you aware of the, if I remember correctly, I got an email about something on July 28th? 29th?
Did they change?
No.
That's the second
That's the second training
Training.
day.
training day that UGA is, coming up. The follow-up to the planning and zoning 101. I haven't got an email. Y'all got an email?
I didn't get an email.
I got it.
I got an email from,
Christina?
from Christina.
Probably just because she told me in the hall, but yes, that's all it is. It's just the second training day that UGA set up.
Talking about getting familiar with pages
Oh, that's,
6.
You do remember this?
yeah.
Okay.
Too many
Oh, yeah.
emails in one day.
Being familiar with the character areas.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it
Is
now.
that the same group that was here?
Yes,
last time?
Yes, sir. The University of Georgia Carl.
The Carl President
Institute. That's them.
Yeah, you received it on the 11th, at
So
11:50.
it's my understanding that we're not gonna do the 102, that we're actually gonna go through our comp plan, like she's gonna help us go through our comp plan at that meeting.
That's what the email said.
Yeah.
But,
The
I was wondering if that was two different things. You know, the 102 that we were supposed to go through, and this comp plan thing, which is
Yeah.
where we came here that day, and
So it came, I'm trying to say it the right way. The decision was made further up the hill in our offices to have Ms. Marlowe, if I remember her last name right, do a comp plan initiative training where we talk about the character areas, what consist of them, so that we better understand how to apply the comp plan in, and that we'll do 102 in 2024, or if they decide to give me another $3,500 to get her back out here for a third time, that we do 102 at a later date. But I didn't know about this until that email. That's the reason I blacked it out of my memory.
How about it coming on the 28th? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Todd and Christina had the conversation with her. They'd rather us have comp plan and how to apply it, what a character area is and everything, versus going on to the 102. I don't know how that discussion took place.
Would it be possible to get, other than reading the comp plan, would it be possible to get any sort of read ahead for what the facility, what would be covered during that training?
That's a great question, because they haven't told me anything, except the one email that went out to all of us.
I haven't seen the email, I'm sorry.
No,
Probably.
that's fine. I couldn't remember it, so we're in the same boat.
the reason I asked is because this is coming up before we meet again.
Yeah.
So we need to know a little bit more about it.
Up until that email went out, I thought we were still doing planning and zoning 102, where they.
Mr. Gandy, I can send that to you tomorrow if you like. I can forward it to you.
It may have been, I don't check my emails.
Oh, okay.
So she wants us to read page 51 to 69 in the comp plan.
You have the email up?
Yeah, I have it.
Great, you got my homework now, thanks.
Okay. So to your knowledge, we're not gonna have 102.
At that point in time, no, sir. That's
That's good to know.
what I'm picking up off the email. I went and talked to Christina about it, and apparently they had a conversation with Miss Marlowe, just her, Miss Baxter, and the chairman, and this came about from that conversation. With doing the comp plan instead of zoning 102, but I wasn't privy to that conversation.
I don't know about those conversations, but I know they discussed at the retreat, you know, that sort of a bifurcated retreat Friday a week ago, and then this morning, the second half of it. So everybody's looking forward to that, to have a chance, and I've met Chrissy in years past. She's excellent.
Very good teacher.
Just to get some insight on if and how to go forward with a rewrite of the zoning ordinance, subdivision regs, and how you implement the comp plan through a rewrite, and it's just some mechanics of how we go forward. Now that we got a comp plan everybody likes, where do we go forward from here?
So it's gonna be the same lady as the first one?
Yes, ma'am.
She was good.
Yes, ma'am. She is the zoning guru, so to say, for them.
So it's not gonna be the two at the last.
No, you're talking about that unnecessary meeting we had?
Oh,
yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
is
No.
not from the you weren't there for that one.
No.
It will not be from the regional
It'll be from
commission.
that
The
one
two
lady
ladies that
that,
came from the regional commission and,
Oh, okay.
no.
Okay, all right.
yeah. Because I'm with you, I don't know if I'd be as bad.
I'm glad you said it.
Oh,
Not
is
me. I'll
the
put
camera
that switch
still on?
as soon as we close this meeting.
Okay.
It will be a positive class where maybe the last one wasn't the most
Okay, all right.
productive.
Well, I was a
Yeah.
little confused, because I was thinking it was the same group.
Regional commission handles the mechanics of it, but Chrissy really knows how to get you where you want to go from a planning standpoint.
Okay.
So this is like the jump gap, the implementation before you get the.
Yes, this is hopefully helping us with that link from comp plan to a zoning ordinance that can get us there.
Now,
Well, did everybody get, well, first of all, is everybody aware of what we're talking about? Did everybody get the email?
Yeah. Maybe.
I appreciate the honesty.
When you checked
it
it.
is to be. Did anybody have trouble, because she said she sent the link, but this link is not coming up?
It's huge, though. It's gonna take a little while. I mean, it's a Google Drive, and it's the comp plan, so it's 400 something pages.
So instead of the link, you can go to the county's webpage.
It has that instructions on there as well, for the quick links if you do it on a computer.
I know the one you sent, it came up right away.
Yeah, because I send it to the hyperlink so that when you click on it, instead of you having to download it all, you just go to the website. That link, and the way it's set up from them, is it downloads onto your device. I have to pay for data. I don't want to pay for it.
Anything else? Or do I get a motion to adjourn?
It's nice and weak.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Nobody ever wants to make a motion.
Falling down on the job.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce my lovely wife.
All right.
They accompany me this evening.
Right.
And Betsy, I've introduced you to each one, but you can see the